Hello, my name is Rebecca Yates. I'm a stem cell researcher, and today I'm going to be explaining stem cells in 4 levels of increasing complexity.
I am Leo. I am 9 years old and I'm in grade 4.
Nice. So, Leo, what if I told you that your body right now is made up of trillions of little round things called cells? Do you know what cells are?
I think so.
Yeah, kind of. Well, you can imagine cells as almost like little Lego pieces that join together to make up every living thing on Earth. So we have muscle cells, skin cells, brain cells, blood cells, and so many more different types. So all of these cells have really specific jobs in our bodies, and they're built in a certain way so that they can do that job. So kind of like how a fish has gills so that it can breathe underwater, or a bird has wings so that it can fly. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, well, stem cells, however, they're a really special type of cell because they're almost like a transformer in a way that they can transform into any type of cell that they want. So when a stem cell is born, they don't already have a job to do like our other cells. And instead, they have to go find a job where a job is needed. So you can almost picture it like Scrabble pieces. Have you played Scrabble before?
I've played Kids Scrabble. I do not really like it.
Yeah. Well, you know how in Scrabble you have all the pieces with letters on them, but then you
Yeah.
also have the pieces that are blank pieces and they don't have a letter on them because they can kind of
Uh,
be whatever letter you want. Do you know what I'm talking about a little bit?
oh, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Well, in this case, stem cells are like those blank Scrabble pieces where they help to do whatever job our body needs them to do. So it's kind of cool. Another super cool thing about stem cells is they have the ability to replace our old and damaged cells. So sometimes our cells, tissues, and organs, and all the things that make up our body, they can be damaged because of an injury or maybe an illness. But the stem cells have the ability to fix the damage. So let's say someone has a problem with their heart, stem cells could be injected into the heart muscle and it could work with the healthy heart cells to repair the damage. So I have a little diagram to show that. So see, there's an unhappy heart, has a little crack in it, and then we inject the stem cells and it's all better and it's all happy again. So that's kind of how they work. So right now, scientists are working on ways that they can take cells from our body and give them special ingredients that turn them into stem cells so that they can be tested on to find new treatments for diseases or even used to grow whole new organs for people that need them. So it's pretty cool, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me something you thought was interesting or just anything that you learned today?
Uh, I like the picture that you drew.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Have you ever heard of stem cells before?
No.
Well, as you know, our body is made up of many cells that perform many different functions. Stem cells, however, are cells that are undifferentiated, meaning that they don't have a specific job or function. While skin cells protect our body, muscle cells contract, and nerve cells send signals, stem cells do not have any specific structure or function. Stem cells do, however, have the potential to become any other kind of cell in our body and also have the ability to repair cells that are damaged or replace cells that have died since they can renew themselves over a long time. Because of these abilities, scientists are using stem cells to repair damaged organs, cells, and tissues, and also to develop special medicines to cure illnesses. So, just to summarize, there's 3 main ways that stem cells are different from other cells in our body. One is that they can divide and renew themselves over a long time. 2 is that they're unspecialized, so they don't have a specific function. And 3 is that they have the potential to become specialized, such as becoming muscle cells, skin cells, hair cells, etc.
So basically, they are cells that don't have a function but can find a function?
Yes, exactly. There's 2 main types of stem cells. There's the embryonic stem cells and the adult stem cells. So you can see in this diagram right here, here's that embryonic, here's the adult and here's the embryonic. And then the adult stem cells can be either multipotent or pluripotent. So multipotent adult stem cells are more common in the body, but they're restricted in the type of cell that they can become. So for example, if you stick a multipotent stem cell in a damaged organ, it won't necessarily start repairing it. And then on the other hand, we have the pluripotent adult stem cells, and these can become any cell in the body that we want them to become, but they're much harder to track down since we have very few of them. And then embryonic stem cells are the second type of stem cells, and these are pluripotent. And these are the cells inside of human embryo when it's just a tiny cluster of human cells, just a couple of days old. So the embryonic stem cells are much more common, and they also have no restrictions on the cell type they become. One of the advantages of the embryonic stem cells is that while adult stem cells can be grown by researchers, they can't grow for as long as or as fast as the embryonic stem cells, which can be made indefinitely if they're kept in the right conditions. So you can see in this diagram, if they're kept in the same conditions, embryonic is still going to grow a lot faster and there's going to be a lot more of them. Wow. Yeah, so this is why embryonic cells are what researchers are currently using to repair or replace damaged cells and organs, or to create new drugs for diseases. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so can you tell me something that you thought was kind of interesting that you learned today?
I think it's interesting that embryonic stem cells can be maintained forever.
So I'm currently joined with a college student who's studying science. So as you might know, stem cells are undifferentiated cells that can continually divide and become specialized.
Yes, I've heard of this before, but I just didn't know much about them.
Well, there's many different types of stem cells that have different differentiation abilities, which is the ability to become specialized. So there's totipotent, pluripotent, multipotent, and unipotent.
Cool.
Yeah, so you may have noticed that all these names end with potent, and that's because potency refers to the varying ability of stem cells to differentiate into specialized cell types. So cells with the greatest potency can generate more cell types than those with lower potency. Totipotent stem cells are cells that can divide and produce any type of body cells, but they occur only for a limited time in early embryos. Pluripotent stem cells are found in embryos and can become almost any type of cells. They're often used in research to treat certain illnesses and regrow damaged cells. And finally, multipotent and unipotent cells are both found in adults and can differentiate into a limited number of cells.
And where are all of these stem cells found?
That's a good question. So there's several different sources of stem cells in mammals. Embryos contain pluripotent stem cells and totipotent stem cells. The umbilical cord blood contains stem cells which are multipotent. The placenta also has stem cells that are multipotent. And lastly, adult stem cells can be found in bone marrow. So all these stem cells have many applications in health and research, but one of the most common uses are with people who have leukemia. So with blood diseases like leukemia, blood cells will grow uncontrollably and it will actually crowd out their healthy stem cells from being able to replace the unhealthy blood cells. So once the leukemia is cleared from the bone marrow where the blood cells are found with either chemotherapy or radiation, doctors can put in more stem cells back into the bone marrow that then go on to produce normal amounts of blood for the person to heal. So you can see that in this diagram right here. You can see that here is a diagram of the cancer cells, and once they're killed with radiation, you can put stem cells back into the body that produce normal amounts of blood.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool discovery. So is there anything that you are particularly excited about regarding stem cells, or like anything that you learned today?
Well, I find it super interesting how stem cells can help patients with leukemia heal faster.
Yeah, that is very cool. Okay, so now I'm joined with an expert in stem cell research, so I thank you for meeting with me. Thank you for having me. So, as you know, recently stem cells have been a large topic of discussion due to their abilities to repair damaged cells. However, are you aware of some of the ethical concerns associated with this? Yes, so some of the greatest ethical concerns with embryonic stem cell research is that the embryos need to be destroyed in order to create embryonic stem cell lines. So once the lines are created, however, they can be used forever if kept in the right conditions, and they can be sent to other researchers around the world. So most often researchers are actually doing their testing on embryonic stem cells that have been sent to them and not new embryos. Wow, that's really cool. However, there's a journal article by Roger A. Pedersen which mentions how even human embryos at the earliest stages of their life warrant special moral consideration because technically they can grow into human beings if returned to a uterus for gestation. So, how do you feel about that? You're right about that, and I agree about the special moral consideration. However, another way of seeing it is that the embryos are never produced specifically as a source of stem cell research. They're always embryos that would die otherwise, so why not use it for beneficial means? That's at least my perspective on it. That's a really interesting perspective. Another thing to consider is nowadays there is induced pluripotency, in which scientists can access pluripotent stem cells without going near human embryos. So, can you tell me more about that? Yeah, so this is when you use transcription factors and put them into a skin cell and induce the cell to undergo a reprogramming to a pluripotent state, which means they now have the ability to differentiate into any cell type, so brain, liver, hair, so on. This was a major breakthrough because now you can use these cells to study diseases, to study human development, to grow organs, and all of a sudden, this concept that cell differentiation is irreversible is just thrown out the window. Wow, that's really cool. So, what do you think you're most excited about regarding stem cells? I think I'm most excited about the breakthroughs there have been with illnesses such as leukemia and lymphoma. So, when someone has these diseases, the cancer cells are killed by radiation, and the stem cells are actually able to help replace those damaged cells and let the body recover faster from the intense treatment that someone with these diseases would experience. What about you? I know for me personally, I'm really excited about the ways that stem cells have shown to promote life extension by replacing the old and damaged cells with new ones that are able to combat things such as aging. Yeah, that's really cool. Overall, I think it's fair to say that this is a really exciting time regarding stem cell research. I definitely agree. Yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you.